Hi, everybody. My name is Shawnee, and today I'm going to talk to you about the article that was assigned to us. I chose the Bosnian genocide, which happened between the years 1992 and 1995 in Bosnia. This was one of the worst tragedies Europe experienced since World War II. During this time, more than 100,000 people were killed. Most of them were Bosnian Muslims. They were also known as Bosniaks. Um, I'm going to explain who was persecuted and why it happened and what the effects were and how it connects to the ideas that we learned in our textbook. During the Bosnian genocide, the Bosnian Serbs were the dominant group within the community, and they attacked and killed Bosniaks, who were mostly Muslims, and Croats, who were mostly Catholic. So all three of these groups spoke the same language. Um, they looked really similar, but they were divided by their religion and their past or their history. Um, as we learned, ethnicity is socially constructed, and it is not based on biology, um, but mostly on culture and religion and traditions. In Bosnia, those differences were used to label people as different or less than the dominant group. Political leaders use these social differences to create hate and as a way to justify violence. Um, the genocide started after the country of Yugoslavia broke apart, and the Serbian leaders wanted to form what they believed would be like a greater Serbia, and wanted to control more of the land and people. Bosnian Serb leaders didn't want Bosnia to be independent. They wanted it to stay under Serb power. Um, so what they did was they spread false information saying that the Bosniaks were dangerous and they didn't belong. So this created a lot of fear and hate within this community, leading to a lot of violence and the belief that the Serbs had the right to control and destroy these other groups. The term ethnic cleansing um, was what happened in Bosnia, but it came it became more of a genocide, um, because the ethnic cleansing means trying to remove people from a certain group or area. But in Bosnia, the Serbs forces did like crazy, unimaginable things to the Bosniaks. Like they murdered and raped and tortured and forced people out of their homes. The worst event was the Serb Sir break. Srebrenica, sorry, I cannot pronounce these words, massacre, which was in July of 1995, when the Serb soldiers killed more than 8,000 Bosniak men and boys and sent the women and children away. Um, this demonstrates that they weren't just um, cleansing, but they were planning on wiping out an entire group, which makes this a genocide. The genocide lasted for about 3 years, from 1992 until 1995. And during this time, sadly, about 100,000 people were killed, and more than 2 million people were forced to leave their homes. The Serb forces destroyed their homes, their villages. Um, they used rape as a weapon of war, and families were split apart, and a lot of them never did find their loved ones. The genocide left deep emotional and physical scars that Bosnia is still trying to heal from today. We learned about patterns of conflict like expulsion, segregation, and genocide, which all happened in Bosnia. Some examples would be when the people were kicked out of their homes, and when Serbs created like pure areas, like segregating them with only their ethnic group, and when they tried to destroy the Bosniak people, like genocide. They tried to destroy them completely, like eliminate them. These patterns show that this can happen when prejudice and power mix together in dangerous ways. It's just really sad that this happens still now today. So because of the genocide, more than 2 million Bosnians had to leave their homes, and many became refugees and went to different countries, like even here in the United States and Canada, Sweden, Germany, just several different countries. This huge movement of people changed Bosnia's population forever, and created new Bosnian communities all around the world. At first, the United Nations didn't do enough to stop the violence, but later NATO stepped in with airstrikes in 1995, which helped end the war. That same year, peace was signed through the Dayton Peace Accords after the war, and the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavian, or ICTY, was created, and it put many war leaders on trial for genocide and war leaders on trial for genocides and war crimes. So, in conclusion, the Bosnian genocide shows how socially constructed differences like religion and ethnicity can be turned into hate and violence. The one thing that really stood out to me was how neighbors and friends, and sometimes even family members, can become enemies because of fear for themselves and their loved ones. So another word that we had learned was like propaganda. It reminds us that understanding diversity, showing respect, and stopping hate early are key to preventing something like this from happening again, even in much smaller scales, like within our own communities here in the United States, or as a nurse, taking care of people from different backgrounds and ethnicities and culture. We need to respect and understand diversity and other people. I mean, we're all God's children, and none of us are better than the others. So, thank you for listening.